Few artifacts in human history inspire such quiet dread as the hand of Anubis. Unlike cursed blades or jewel-encrusted idols meant to dazzle the eye, this relic is profoundly simple. A severed human hand, mummified with ancient precision, its fingers stiffened into a half-curl that suggests both beckoning and warning. Yet for centuries, those who possessed it believed they were not merely holding an object, but were being held in return. According to fragmented records, the hand was once revered as a god, not a symbol of Anubis, the Egyptian deity of mummification and the afterlife, but an extension of him, a physical conduit, a divine appendage severed from the unseen world and left behind among the living. Those who claimed ownership reported a shared and disturbing experience. The hand did not remain passive. It guided, it urged, and sometimes it pulled, always toward death. The earliest references to the hand of Anubis appear in funerary papyri dating to Egypt's late period, though scholars believe the belief itself is far older. These texts speak obliquely of a living relic of the West being the symbolic direction of death in ancient Egyptian cosmology. One damaged scroll, discovered near Abydos, describes a ritual in which a priest of Anubis voluntarily surrendered his right hand during an embalming. Ceremony gone deliberately wrong. The priest, unnamed, was said to have offered his flesh to become the grip by which the god guides the lost. The hand was removed while the priest still lived. The act was neither punishment nor sacrifice in the conventional sense. It was transformation. His body was buried separately, while the severed hand underwent a unique mummification process, wrapped not only in linen, but in jackal hair fibers, resins infused with lotus and myrrh, and pigments usually reserved for divine statuary. This was not a relic meant for burial. It was meant to remain. Temples dedicated to Anubis allegedly housed the hand in small shrines near necropolises. Mourners would leave offerings to it, believing the hand could guide souls safely through the duatha, perilous underworld journey between death and judgment. Some inscriptions suggest that grieving families requested the hand's presence during funerals, hoping it would recognize their loved one when the time came. But even in antiquity, reverence was mixed with fear. Several texts warn priests never to touch the hand with bare skin. Others insist it must be wrapped when not in use, lest it remember the warmth of the living. Sometime during the Roman period, the relic vanished. No temple inventory records its destruction. No accounts mention its burial or ceremonial deactivation. Instead, later texts simply stop referring to it, as if its absence itself was too dangerous to document. The hand does not reappear in historical records until the late 18th century, when French antiquarian Etienne Marceau claimed to have acquired it from a tomb robber near Luxor. Marceau described the object in his private journals with an unease that borders on panic. "It is not the appearance that unsettles me," he wrote. "It is the certainty that it knows when I am alone." Marceau initially dismissed local warnings as superstition. He transported the hand to Paris, where he planned to sell it to a private collector. But within weeks, his entries changed tone. He complains of vivid dreams in which he wanders dark corridors while a weight pulls at his wrist. He writes of waking to find the hand positioned differently than he left it, sometimes angled toward the door, sometimes toward his chest. On the final page of the journal, dated April 14, 1799, Marceau records a single sentence: "Tonight it pulled." His body was found the next morning at the bottom of the Seine. The hand was missing. Across the next 2 centuries, the hand of Anubis surfaced repeatedly in private collections, medical oddities cabinets, and war spoils. Each appearance followed a disturbingly similar pattern. At first, the owner felt nothing unusual. The hand appeared inert, dry, brittle, undeniably dead. But over time, subtle sensations emerged. A faint heaviness in the room where it was kept. A persistent awareness, like being watched from behind. Then came the dreams. Nearly every recorded owner described dreams of walking, endless walking, sometimes through deserts, sometimes through hospitals or cemeteries, sometimes through places they recognized from their own lives. In these dreams, the hand was always present, never fully seen, but always felt, wrapped around the wrist, tugging gently at first, then less gently. Several owners claimed the hand influenced their waking behavior. A British surgeon in 1843 reported an unaccountable compulsion to visit execution sites. A Viennese collector in the early 1900s found himself repeatedly drawn to terminal wards, despite having no professional reason to be there. A German officer during World War I allegedly carried the hand with him, claiming it led him unscathed through battlefields until it guided him into a shell crater during a ceasefire. He was killed instantly. In every case, death followed ownership. Not always immediately, not always violently, but inevitably. Modern scholars remain divided on the hand's true nature. Some argue it functioned as a ritual tula, psychological catalyst that amplified the ancient Egyptians' already profound fixation on death. Others suggest it served as a focus object, designed to induce trance states and reinforce priestly authority. But a small, controversial group of researchers propose a more unsettling interpretation. They believe the hand was never meant to protect the living. Instead, it was meant to recognize those whose deaths were approaching. According to this theory, the hand of Anubis was a sentinel and instrument attuned to mortality itself. When near someone whose life was nearing its end, it became active. The sensation of being guided was not malicious, but procedural. The hand was simply doing what it was created to do, escort souls to the threshold. This would explain why owners often felt calm rather than terrified near the end. Several accounts describe a strange acceptance, even relief, in the days before death, as if resistance had become pointless, as if the hand had already decided. The last verified sighting of the hand of Anubis occurred in 1972, when it entered the private collection of a reclusive American anthropologist known for studying death rituals. He refused all interviews and kept no assistance. Neighbors later reported seeing him walking at night, always with his right arm held stiffly at his side, as though gripping something invisible. When authorities entered his home months later, they found him seated in a chair, perfectly composed. No signs of struggle. No cause of death that could be determined. The hand was discovered resting on his lap. For the first time in recorded history, it was unwrapped. Examiners noted something extraordinary. The hand's fingers were no longer curled. They were extended, relaxed, almost peaceful, as if its task had been completed. The artifact vanished from evidence storage shortly afterward. No theft was recorded. No security breach reported. It simply was not there anymore. Some believe the hand of Anubis still exists, passing quietly from one keeper to the next. Others claim it does not need a physical form any more, that it learned, over centuries, how to guide without touch. Ancient Egyptians believed Anubis weighed the heart of the dead against the feather of truth. But perhaps judgment was never the god's primary function. Perhaps his true role was simpler, to take the hand of those who were ready and lead them where they were always going.